What's going on, family? How is everybody doing? Get your libations, because maybe you don't have to work. And if you do, get a non-alcoholic libation for yourself, because libation can mean anything, whatever you need to get yourself through the show. So, family, we're going to get into it. I know some of y'all got a turkey in the oven and all kinds of stuff going on, so I'm not going to, I always say I'm not going to go too long, heavy. I'm not going to try to lie tonight, but I'm going to try not to, try not to do too much. So please hit that like button for me. Glasses always ain't right. Please hit that like button for me. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/ycarnell. But free to you is hitting that like button. Absolutely free contribution. You can go to hit that subscribe if you were not already a subscriber. Hit that bell if you didn't get a notification, and make sure if you normally get notifications and you're not getting notifications, please take a look-see and make sure that you are still subscribed and getting notifications. Some stuff, people been getting unsubscribed, all kinds of stuff going on, funny business. So please make sure you check that, even if you had hit the button before, or even if you had subscribed before, hit the bell. Please just check that for me. Just double check that for me. I'd appreciate it. Also, make sure you show up for the book club. So on January the 30th, which is the last Thursday of the month, we will be reading They Were Her Property. They Were Her Property. You got more than enough time. Listen, we're not even in December yet. We're going to be reading this in the end of January. So you got more than enough time to get the book, get your monies a little bit together. You can get the book or share the book. Some people have chapters. Share the book with each other. If somebody finished first, you do it. That's how we do. So white women as slave owners in the American South. That's what we will be reading. So please, please, please do that for me. I would appreciate it. Now, I want to let you know one thing. I do not intend for this episode of Breaking Brown Live to be a roasting episode. That is not my intention. I'm going to try to be very measured in my criticism, because everybody says, oh, Yvette, you just roast everybody. You don't like anybody. Well, everybody roasts me, but I don't try to roast everybody. Sometimes I just run hot, you see. That's all. I just run a little hot. That's all. So I want to have a measured conversation about what happened with Mr. Harriot. And I want to have a very, very, very kind of measured conversation about, I don't know why my computer always wants to restart, but then when I restart it, it gets stuck. I got to go look that up. But I want to have a measured conversation about what happened between him. And those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you the background of the writer from The Root. I want to give you a little bit of background. His name is Michael Harriot. And just to give you all, when you talk about criticism, it goes both ways, because he's criticized me in a tweet that didn't age well. But that is what it is. When I talked about the Urban League, and I called out the Urban League and Mark Morial, and I said the National Urban League and Mark Morial talk all this black business talk until billionaire Byron Allen gets into a legal fight with Comcast over the company's efforts to block him from doing business. Then the Urban League goes quiet. Odd indeed. And so he responded, he responded to the tweet. He responded to my tweet with a tweet of his own. And that's why I left a little background up and just put part 2, because it's a sassy blue check. It's just what the sassy blue checks do. We're going to have hashtag sassy blue check, because the sassy blue checks always want to come in and say something doesn't make a lot of sense. And he says they literally honored him, gave him an award and thanked him just before he went to court. But y'all be so ready to drag black folks. Well, even with this tweet didn't age well, because we were talking about the national versus the local. One of the local LA chapter actually came out in favor of Byron. That's the same chapter you're talking about, right? Okay, and then you go on to say, just because y'all found out about Byron Allen case last week doesn't mean everyone did. Geez, chill the F out. And I mean, Antonio has a video interviewing Byron Allen 3 years ago, so we didn't find out about it last week. But that goes to the problem of researching with the sassies. The sassies got to start researching before they start talking. But so let's go to the Buttigieg. I'm just gonna call him Buttigieg. So here's what happened with that. Well, first let's go to what he said. There was a tweet that and then we'll go to what Michael Harriot said about what he said, and then the reaction that he got from the candidate. So let's just go step by step. So basically, there was a clip of Buttigieg, or Buttigieg, or whatever. Let's just call him B or something. I'm tired of that. I kid that name all the time, and I'm tired. So it says, he said something to the effect of, kids from lower income, minority neighborhoods don't have someone they know personally who testifies to the value of education. That's what he said in 2011. Now, I want you to pin this here, because I'm coming back to it. Because there's something in what Buttigieg said. There was a whole bunch of nonsense said in that whole clip. It was about mentors and all kinds of stuff. But something that Buttigieg said in that clip was really important, because it almost kind of goes to what Antonio and I talk about in terms of plugs and outlets. And if you're going to have a conversation with the man, if the man calls you, you need to talk about that. But we're going to get back to that. Don't you worry. So here's what Harriot wrote. He wrote, well, this is what he wrote first. Let's go background and do it all. He wrote, Pete Buttigieg is a lying MF. Is a lying MF. Buttigieg. Buttigieg. Somebody said Buttigieg. Let me write Buttigieg. Buttigieg, Buttigieg, Buttigieg. So anyway, thank you, Chad. I appreciate y'all. I just want to put the first one here because if you call somebody a lying MF, I don't care whether you call somebody a lying MF on the street, your next door neighbor, your friend. If you call somebody a lying MF when they meet you, you got to have that energy. If you don't, you just out here on these Twitter streets playing for chuckles, for shits and giggles. If you're not going to have that same energy, you call somebody a lying MF. And so then we go to this and it says, Pete Buttigieg called me. Here's what happened. Well, I expect that energy, bro. But you did say some good things. I said I was going to be measured. So you did say some good things. And let's talk about the good that you said during the conversation with Buttigieg. And then we'll get to the critiques and the criticisms, right? Because I want to be measured. I want to have a conversation. I don't want to just slam you for no reason. I don't want to do that. I want to have a conversation about what happened, how it happened, when it happened, and how did we lose so much steam? Because you was doing good. Harriot, you were doing good. You were on a roll. And I said that I was reading. I said he's going somewhere. When I read it, I said, "Oh, I don't care for his work for the most part. It's kind of silly to me, but he's going somewhere, and I'm gonna go there with him." And then all of a sudden, I hit pavement. So let's go. He brought up the data. You know I like that. Every study and data point. When he was talking to Buttigieg, he said every study and data point shows that racism is baked into the education system. Well, it's baked into everything, but I give you credit, sir, because you brought up the data and what the data shows about aspects of black life. It shows about all of black life, but I give you credit for that. And so Buttigieg, they're having this back and forth, and Buttigieg says to him, designed to alleviate. Sometimes children don't get to see the possibility. Do you think lack of positive examples of educational success can lead to mistrust and lack of confidence in the system? Fair enough question, Buttigieg. Let's continue. Michael Harriot's on it. I'm with him. I'm with him right here. I told Buttigieg. Y'all better have me pronouncing this right. I told Buttigieg, because I'd be like, Buttigieg. I actually watched the entire 58-minute interview before writing the article and pointed out that it was infuriating to watch 4 white men talk about what was broken in the black community without acknowledging who broke it and who refuses to fix it. You better preach. You are speaking my language, Harriot. You are speaking my language. Yes, ain't nothing wrong with us that y'all didn't break and you can't fix. You can't talk about this like it's some kind of outlier. Absolutely, you have to talk about this with specificity. You did this, and it was intentional. The government did it. Government made us a contagion to wealth. Didn't protect us after during Reconstruction. Federal troops ran off, left us to the KKK, convict leasing, redlining, slavery, rape, pillaging, locking us out of industrial jobs, great migration. You did all of that. Don't seem too ready to fix it. That's a good point, Michael. Good point. Point number 2 for you, sir. I'm with you. I'm still with you. We still going. I'm still there. So let's go to the next one. Talking about the lack of confidence. The lack of confidence, I don't like the way he said it, doesn't have anything to do with role models or support from parents. It's because the shit is true. Okay. I don't like the way you, but whatever. Okay. I'm still going to go with you because you were making some good points. I'm still going to ride with you. The entire point of the primary process is for voters to dictate their concerns to candidates and for candidates to learn from voters. Black America wants their party to emerge victorious, but not if we have to offer our votes as a living sacrifice for the sake of party unity or something like, okay, we in it. It's true. We in it. You made some good points. Then you made another good point that we all know is true about who gets to succeed. Oh, Michael, I'm with you. You don't know how much I'm with you right now. I'm with you. I'm reading it and I'm like, yeah, he telling the truth. The Buttigieg. A mediocre white kid with mediocre intelligence and mediocre parents can easily make it in America. I explained. Blackly. Oh, sassy Twitter. A smart black kid with smart parents and the supportive community still has to fight every day to hope to reach the levels of what a mediocre white man accomplishes. And odds are they still won't make it. You better skip to the loo. Because you're right. You're absolutely right. Because let's take a look at a chart. Let's take a look at this Dr. Darity chart for 1 sec. I mean, this chart that was in Myths About Closing the Racial Wealth Gap, the Darity and Antonio Moore report. And here's one thing that kind of shows that that proves that to be true. It says median household net worth by race and employment status. Employment status. Now I want you to look. This little orange over here is black. This blue over here is white. Now I want you to look median household net worth. I want you to look at the net worth of unemployed white. Note that net worth of unemployed white is more than full-time black. Did you hear what I said? The net worth, median household net worth by race. The median, when you look at this bottom number of unemployed white, bottom left, is more than the employed black in terms of median household net worth. That's what he's saying. He's saying you can be unemployed and still be worth us. You know why? Because what we're talking about is the passing down of generational wealth. During a time where we were not able, everything is timing, we were not able to build wealth because we've talked about this. For those of you who are new here, we were taken off the board. So their timing is everything. There was a time in America where America was building and becoming America. And instead of being allowed to partake in that process, we were the shoes that were used to partake in that process. So now the shoes cannot have money because the shoes were used as tools. The shoes were not allowed to be people who engage in the process of wealth building. So while wealth is being passed down now and it's not being created like it was before because we're not a building, emerging nation, everything has already been built. We don't have it and they do. That's why they can be unemployed and have that net worth. And we can be full-time employed and have that and not have it because you're not getting wealth anymore from your labor. Tax on labor is 30%. You're not going to make it and labor is getting a smaller share of the wealth. You are not going to make it based on labor. So, Harriot, you are all right. Carry on, sir. Carry on. So let's go to the next thing he said because he's on a roll. Unlike any of my black friends, because let me just go back up because he's talking about his one white friend, right? So let me go up and just read this part. Let me just go up before I go to the quote. He's talking about a white friend that he's known for a while. So I've known him since I was a teenager, and he is probably reading this right now. He is probably the last white person I've had a long conversation on the phone with before Mayor Pete called me. Trust me, 18 minutes is an eternity. We'll get to how this man said he don't like to be on the phone and all kinds of stuff. That was all very odd. We'll talk about that in a second. Greg and I became friends because he was in all the smart classes with me. I've always found it remarkable how unremarkable he is. That's a friend. He's sufficiently smart and adequately talented, but not more than D. D is his other friend. If you go read the article, he has a black friend who wanted to be a lawyer but never became one, right? But his white friend did. So he's comparing the two people. He says D or any one of more than a dozen of my black friends I went to school with whose dream was to become a lawyer. Unlike any of my black friends, Greg eventually became a lawyer, like his father, like his grandfather. How many people know what I'm about to say? Those of you who have been here a while know what we always talk about. It takes more than one generation to create a career. That's why his daddy was a lawyer. That's why his daddy was a lawyer. Right? They've created a career path for you. More than one generation to create that. And if your people, my people, were inheriting slavery and inheriting sharecropping with no land or any or expertise to go with it, while they were inheriting careers, that is a problem. So Michael was talking about that. He dealt with that. Whether he knew he was talking about it or not, he was talking about how careers are passed down. It's not just wealth that's passed down. It is knowledge that is passed down. It is expertise that is passed down. Careers are passed down. I was watching one of the little, what's her name? One of the little pop stars right now. And it was saying that her dad was a musician. Go figure. People are passing down whole careers in addition to generational wealth that was accumulated during an era where we were locked out. So Harriet's on the road. Harriot, however you pronounce everything. So, and I hope people get this, because people always accuse me, oh, Yvette, you just pronounce other people's names when it's a foreign name. You're a hater. No, I pronounce everything wrong. So it just is what it is. So let's go on. Let's go on. So that was the good stuff. That was the really good stuff. And I was happy about it. That was the really good stuff in the piece. And I said, wow, that was decent. Wow, that was good. And then I ran into pavement. So let me help you understand why. Let me help you understand why. Because it's all very interesting. There's a lot of stuff that's very interesting, and I'm not going to get into too much of it. But at the beginning of this, Michael Harriot it's a very odd way to open up a conversation about a conversation you had with a presidential candidate. It's also very odd in that he talked about, well, I want to call him Mr. President. That was a little step in the fashion. How? Why? But you all know, here I use fighting analogies sometimes, right? Stay on your square. That's a fighting analogy. Don't let anybody get you off your square, right? Where the head goes, the body goes. Fighting analogy. Well, if you read this, one of the most interesting things about what Harriot does in this essay, he starts off by saying he would rather fight than to use words. He says, I would rather fight because people will lie to you if you don't fight. I'd rather you beat me up. I'm not good at fighting, but I'd rather fight. Let me tell you, the whole intro to this was problematic in a number of ways, right? If you're not good at fighting, you certainly shouldn't want to fight. And I'm not saying this to be mean to him, but I'm saying sometimes you say stuff in writing that either you made it up, and if it's true, it might be a problem for you in your life, and you have to check that out. I can't tell you that because it doesn't make sense if you're not good at fighting to be wanting to fight and wanting to get beat up. The first rule of fighting is don't fight. If you can get out of there, get out of there. And people are like, well, I know how to fight. I'm gonna stay in it. No, you don't know how. Okay, you know how to fight. You're a brown belt. The other person is a black belt to the nth degree and an MMA fighter. What you gonna do? The first rule, because you don't know, is too many unknowns. There are known unknowns and unknown knowns. Remember when Donald Rumsfeld tried to give us that junk about unknown knowns and unknown? But there are too many unknowns in that situation. So anybody who stop talking about they want to fight, but then when we get to this conversation, though, you didn't want to fight. You didn't want to fight when Buttigieg, you didn't want to fight him. You just want to get beat up by people on the street or something very odd. That's such an odd way to start off. So I didn't like that. And I didn't like this. So he said, I figured one of his surrogates would argue with me for a few minutes and I could continue my day trying to be a thorn in the side of white supremacy. A thorn in the side of white supremacy. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that. A thorn in the side of white supremacy. The third thing you should know is that I actually keep a small photo of the mouse from Pinky and the Brain beside my bed that says, what are you going to do today, Michael? The answer is always F with white people. It's a game. That's a game. That is a game. Let me tell you, when I hear somebody say, I want to be a thorn in the side, that's like you want to be a butt itch. Like, to have that as a goal is already a problem, because what it means is that you're kind of engaged in performative politics, but not real politics. You're not looking for end game. You just want to aggravate the oppressor. You want to make him angry. You want to put itch powder in him. You want to make sure his shoe don't fit right or whatever. You don't really want to engage in policy. You don't really want to engage in okay, you said this, how do I close? I've said all of this stuff. What's the ask? And this is why I say that this is a teachable moment, because you have to have an ask. If a politician ever comes up to you, you ever go to a town hall or whatever, you have to have an ending. Your plane has got to land. You just can't talk about what everything is and what upsets you. It cannot be a cathartic moment. This is not a moment for you to have therapy, baby. This is a moment for you to talk to people and tell them what you want. And let me tell you why that's so important. Let me tell you why that's so important. When he put out the Douglas plan, he said something that was very interesting. Now, this is from Vox. And shout out to PR Lockhart, who does a lot of good writing. Please don't make me regret saying that. She did the article about ADOS as well. But it says, on reparations for descendants of enslaved people. This is on his Douglas plan. We're talking about Buttigieg. A topic that has seen increased attention in the 2020 primary. Buttigieg's campaign says that rather than being a replacement for reparations program, the Douglas plan will serve as a complement. Let me tell you what I call that, family. That's called an opening. That's called an opening. You didn't close the door to reparations. So if you call me, I'm going to walk through that door. I'm going to walk with you right through that door. You said that your plan is not a replacement for reparations. It's a complement. So let's talk about what the actual reparations plans look like, Mr. Presidential Candidate. Let's have a conversation about it. That's not that's the way you land this plane. See, Michael Harriot was flying real good. He was saying some good stuff, and then the plane crashed. No smooth landing. That's what you needed. So let me show you how. This was a problem. This was a problem. You can't say this. Don't ever say this. Don't ever say this. I conceded that the problems with institutional racism are so complex and go back so far that I'm not sure that anyone, a mayor, a governor, or even a president, could fix them. You can never say that. You cannot say that. Listen, let me just take this off the screen for just a second. You can't call somebody a lying MF and talk about what they're not doing and what they're not saying and what they didn't say in that room and what's not true. Because what they're going to come to you and say is, how do I fix it? So if a plumber comes to your house, right? A plumber comes to your house. Your plumbing's all messed up. You got stuff coming out the bathtub that should be coming out the toilet. You got all kinds of problems. And the plumber comes and tries to fix it. And let's say he tries to fix it. He's supposed to have tools. And instead he got utensils and stuff. And you say, you got the wrong stuff. You're doing this wrong. You ain't, what kind of plumber are you? And then the plumber comes back with a bunch of different plumbing tools and say, okay, what can we do? And then you say, I don't think it can be fixed. Well, what the heck am I here for then? What you called me back here for? You called me a lying MF and told everybody in the neighborhood that I came here with the wrong stuff, and I did. And I came over here and you told me you don't think it can be fixed. You told me a little while ago that it was our job to fix it, and how we don't understand it's white people's job to fix it. And then 2 seconds later you tell me you don't even know if it can be fixed. If you ever have the opportunity to talk to somebody in power, your job is, ADOS, let me tell you, to tell them how to fix it. What is your plan on closing the racial wealth gap? How are you going to close it? Don't tell me, no, listen, reparations. See, we have a black agenda just like, Buttigieg and everybody else. We have a black agenda, but reparations is the heartbeat of what we're doing. Because it doesn't work to just give money to HBCUs. Buttigieg, it doesn't work to just do that. If the schools are going to be so expensive now that most ADOS students can't afford it. That's why reparations is essential. Giving money to HBCUs is a complement to that. Everything we do outside of even black business, you have to have ownership, which means property. You have to have all of that. You have to have all of that. But everything that we're doing, like reparations is the heartbeat. The black agenda is the body. You got to have a heartbeat though. And that's the blood that's flowing and pumping. So you can't say everything that you said and call this man a lying MF. And then when he call your bluff and ring you up on the phone, you say, I don't know if it can be fixed. You never say that. You get this man his marching orders. You call my phone? Okay. You big, you bad enough to call my phone? Let's talk about it. Because he knew whose phone he was calling. He didn't call my phone. He didn't come to the ADOS conference. He didn't call Antonio's phone. He knew whose phone he was calling. How is it that Buttigieg has to be the one to insisted that there are some things that people in power could do to make things more equal? Why is that him saying that and not you? And then you're also like, where's your self-confidence, man? I don't know how to fix shit. What damn? What? Don't write no more. Just go crayon then. I'm not trying to roast nobody, but you don't tell no. Okay. I mean, this just doesn't make no sense. As I explained to the presidential candidate, for some reason I had to refrain from reflexively calling him Mr. President. My problem with his comments was not that they were wrong. It's that he knows they were wrong. Whatever, man. What are you talking about? I don't know how to do nothing. I don't know how to do anything. What would I know? How would I know how to do anything? I'd just be talking on the interwebs. I'd just be calling people MFers. I don't ever expect them to call me back. I just want to be a thorn in your side. Get on your nerves a little bit. That's all. I didn't hardly anticipate that everybody was going to take this thing so seriously. Now you on my phone. I told you what it is, but I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if anybody can. What's the end game? Before you get on the phone and before you tell anybody they can call you, what is the end game? You have to have your end game. Let me tell you something, fam. Because I'm going to show you something. What's wrong with this thing? You have to have your end game already set up. Because the people that you're dealing with, they know why they're calling you. They absolutely know why they're calling you. He knew why he was calling you. You want me to tell you why he was calling you, Michael? He was calling you to get good press. He was calling you because he knew, whether or not you knew it, sir, he knew that by calling you, he was going to get good press for himself. It was a master stroke, Mr. Buttigieg. It was a master stroke of getting free press. Because not only did he get free press for himself by calling the black writer who called him an MF, a lying MFer, he can show the rest of the world. Once I called him on his stuff, he didn't have nothing to say. He told me stuff was bad, but he told me he couldn't fix it either. And it was just hard. And so we all agreed it's hard, and I'm going to work towards it. How is my view any better than his? Or how is his any better than mine? And I'll stand up. I'll call anybody. I'm Pete Buttigieg. He had a whole plan for you when he asked could he call your phone. He's getting all kind of there's free media. And we talk about free media, earned media, paid media, all that stuff. He's getting a whole bunch of media off of you, off of calling you. But what did you get? What did we get off of him calling you? I see what he got. And let me ask you a question, sir, Michael. How did the phone call end? You said it was 18 minutes long. How did it end? He get off the phone with you? You get off the phone with him? You didn't say nothing about nothing that was demanded or asked or anything. What was it? It's all very interesting. You got to have an end game. You got to land somewhere. If you don't know that you got to land somewhere, when you have these phone calls, I don't know that you should be having these phone calls. Because here's what we're looking at. Let me bring this other one up. Because you have to understand. You have to understand where we are. You have to understand where we are. We're in dark times. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if anybody know, but I know I called you a lying MFer. Like this is. I mean, what is this? Like, look at white, look at Hispanic, and look at black. Look at, you see that? You see that like that? They got median and mean. You see that? You see black there on the bottom like that? When these are our circumstances, you can't tell somebody. He said, she said, you can't say like, well, I don't know. It's not an option. When you call somebody a lying MFer, you got to know what you're going to say if they call you. If you run into them. If you go to a rally. I don't even know. I don't know. Everybody got to stop playing this cathartic game. Well, the cathartic game where we just kind of feel like I'm going to tell white people how I feel. I'm just going to say it. And that's just what it is. I'm going to tell everybody what's on my mind today. I'm going to be a thorn. He said everything we said. I'm going to be a thorn in their side. That's not what we need. We need liberation. We need our reparations for not only slavery and that free labor, but all the years of the disadvantage, the accrued disadvantage, right? of being taken off the board while everybody else was accruing wealth. Being a thorn in the side of white supremacy means just making white supremacy uncomfortable. And that's not good enough. Even if you're doing satire and humor, there's still a way to cut. And there's still a way to know enough to where that person calls you, they shocked. Like, I didn't think I was going to get that Negro on the phone. I thought it was going to be a whole nother Negro. And this Negro showed up and he knows a whole lot of stuff. And he asked me, do you understand that if he had done this differently, we would be having a conversation about reparations? If he had said reparations, we would be having a whole, like, you could have put that on the table for Buttigieg, but instead you like, I don't know, and I don't know if anybody can do it. That's what a white politician wants to hear. I don't know, and I don't know if anybody can do anything to help anyone. But reminder again, in terms of where we are, I just want you to remind, I got to just with another Darity chart really quick. In terms of where we are as a group. Median household net worth by race, not the same chart as before. But look at white and look at black. Post college, look at white. What's that? 455,212. Look at black. 141. College. Just look at the chart all the way down. Look at the blue. That's white. Look at the black. You can't live. You like, this cannot go on. You get starved out in the richest country in the world if this is how we're going to live life. We can't live life like this. And if somebody calls your phone, this is my teachable moment, fam. If somebody calls your phone, or if you run into a politician, or if you go to a town hall, you have to have a national ask and a local one. The local one depends on your local budget, everything else. But the national one is, how are you going to close the racial wealth gap? And we know from Darity and Antonio Moore's report, Dr. Darity and Antonio Moore, that education does not do it. And that brings me back to my initial point, right? The initial point, and I think I wrote down exactly what Buttigieg said, because I want to isolate what he said outside of all the other foolishness during that thing. I want to isolate exactly what he said, because it was all very interesting. Oh, I got so many notes, fam. Hold on one second. Got so many notes. I want to isolate what he said because I wrote it down. He had a quote that if you paid close attention to it, you could use it in this conversation. This is what Buttigieg says during that thing that he was in, or whatever, during that old clip from 2011. He said, the kids need to see evidence that education is going to work for them. Meaning, I see people go to school as an ADOS person, but it don't work. These charts show it don't work either. Now, I'm not saying that Buttigieg was right and everything, and that, no, it was all a bunch of hogwash and mentorship and dumb stuff. But isolate that one comment about him and use it and weaponize it against him. Listen, you're right. You got a point right here. Our kids, sometimes look at education a certain way because plugs and outlets. What we talk about on this show, plugs and outlets. We go get the plug and run in here, and then we'll have nowhere to plug it into. There's no outlet available. Somebody done baby-proofed the whole country against our outlets. We don't got none. And you fix that by fixing race. You can't fix that by a program. You don't fix that by mentorship. And the beginning of fixing race, of you, Buttigieg, and everybody else, giving up your whiteness is reparations. So tell me, Buttigieg, what reparations looks like for you. Your reparations plan. If you don't have one, why are we having this conversation? Because you said in your own words that what you put forth was an addendum and all this. So why are we having a conversation if you don't have a plan? If you're calling me, I want to talk about what that plan looks like. Because it has to happen. And even that small little clip right there of what you said shows why it has to happen. Because we go get the education and we don't have anything to plug it into. We just running around with plugs, and they done cover every time they see us coming. A contagion to whip. They close up the outlets. So tell me what kind of reparations program that, and let me tell you, reparations isn't just a check. We've talked about this before, but the programs that you're going to put in place too to protect us from people who are going to come and try to take whatever reparations we get away. How we're going to do ownership. How we're going to be a protected class. How we're going to have robust affirmative action specifically for ADOS. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about it, Buttigieg. One thing I'm not going to say is that maybe this can't be fixed. No, we're gonna fix it. We're going to figure out a way to fix it as best we can. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And you've discussed reparations, so let's get to it. Let's get down to the nitty and the gritty. The nitty and the gritty, sir. So, fam, I'm going to let y'all get on the lines in just a second. But for me, and this is just me, this is a teachable moment. I'm not roasting anybody. I think that we have to learn that we have this whole, and that's the problem, that we don't really have black media anymore either, right? Part of the whole problem here is that we look at politics as therapy, as some type of catharsis. So, I call Buttigieg a lying MF. I told him. Boy, I told him. You heard me tell him. You heard me. Told him to his face. But if the goal is collective uplift, we have to keep asking ourselves constantly, like, how does what we're doing, how does what we're saying, how we're advocating, how we're being seen. See, now people can say whatever they want to say about us, but how we engage in real life and online, right? That's important. And it can't be just to blow off steam, right? You go out to buy a punching bag, go for a run. Politics isn't about that as much as it is exacting and getting a piece of that pie. The whole thing that goes on Capitol Hill is a bunch of budgets. Budgets get passed. That's why everybody want to be on that committee, right? You're thinking about that. You're not thinking about I don't want to be a thorn in anybody's side. I want to be more than that. I don't want to be a thorn in the side of white supremacy. I don't want to be a mouse. The fact that you kind of see yourself as a mouse is a problem. And I would encourage you to be bigger in terms of that, in terms of how you see yourself in the platform that you have. You can be more than funny. You can be funny in a way that's so witty and cutting that is actually really effective in terms of what you do. Like, there's more to it than that. And I would stay encouraged, but like, you have to see this as more than like being a thorn in the side of white supremacy. That's a really low bar. And you can do better than that. And I think you can do better than that. And I think we can all do better than that. And I think we should all, say we're a part of this collective movement to end this kind of whiteness where you get to access whiteness, and to put ADOS on if you're going to have a hierarchy, what do we need to be in terms of building the country, right? We want reparations and all the policies that come with it. And we're about putting together a political mechanism to make that happen, right? And so we have to be very clear about that. So anyway, fam, I want to let everybody come to the phones and have a conversation. So give me a few minutes as usual to set up the calls. We will be back and we will have the conversation. What's going on, fam? That beat right there is all right. Almost made me have to get a verse. Anyway, fam, we are going straight to the phones. Going to the phones. As usual, what is your name? Where you calling from? And listen, if you all have got inebriated with the turkey wine, don't call in here all loosey goosey because you done drank something that you should have drank before calling into a show about politics. So if you're doing that, just save it because we love you. We love you, and you have every right to indulge in your life. But if you had too many libations now, don't do it. So anyway, give me 1 second, and we're going straight to the calls. Give me 1 second. I'm going to 913. 913, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, this is Joe from Kansas City.
What's going on, Joe?
Nothing much, just, cooking,
Oh, you cooking. What you cooking? What you cooking? You got a turkey?
Sweet potato pie, no turkey.
Ooh, all right, Joe.
Yeah. Trying to get that hypertension. I'm just kidding.
Nah, you gotta have a little sugar in your life. You need a little sugar in your life. Go on, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good. But, I missed the first part. I'm not even sure who Michael Harriot is. I think he might be the comedian. That's the first person that comes to mind, is the comedian. But all I know is if any of these people who claim to care about black people and black politics and all that, if they actually care, all they got to do is look around to see what will happen to what will happen to the rest of the country, and use us as like an example. So you see what's going on with the climate change and what happened in New Orleans with Katrina. That was a climate change disaster, and it affects us first. If you want to talk about surveillance and sex trafficking, a lot of our girls are missing. And nobody's paying attention to any of it. Mm-hmm. All this stuff is connected, and if people want to see what is going to happen under, I don't even want to use this word because they use so much, but under a fascist government, more so a corporate fascist government, just take a look at what's happening to us. And if they paid attention to what was happening to us, they will then understand what is going to happen to them.
Mm.
And that's pretty much all I gotta say.
Okay,
but if black people or white people or whatever you identify as, if you're an American, if you want to understand what's going to happen to you in the future, say it again.
I say canary in the coal mine. Like, we die first. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to know what's going to happen to you as a white person, you as a black immigrant, you as a Asian immigrant, you as somebody who is not elite, just look what's happening to us. And if you want that for yourself, so be it. But I don't think you do. And if you don't want it for yourself, then why would you want it for us?
Okay, fam.
And that's all I got.
Appreciate it, fam. Enjoy your sweet potato pie or whatever. Enjoy it, fam. If you are off tomorrow in general, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not, enjoy yourself. Relax. Don't get yourself worked up too much. Take a bubble bath. Sometimes even if like some people celebrate Thanksgiving and are cooking, some people don't, and just make sure you don't stress tomorrow. Like, don't let anybody get a bee in your bonnet or nothing tomorrow. If you're off, if you're not off, I understand you got to go do your work, and I know a lot of us people who working and all kinds of things are not off. But if you are off tomorrow, don't let anybody bother you. Make tomorrow about your self-care. 912, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? I can't hear you, fam. I can't hear you at all. I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I still can barely hear you. Can y'all hear him? Because I can't tell.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear him. Can y'all hear? Let me know.
You said you can hear me?
Yeah, I can't hear you, fam. I don't know what's going on. I apologize, but I can't hear you, so I'm gonna have to let you go, fam. I can't hear you at all now. All right, I'm going to 313. 313. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What's up? It's A1 Thought and Maserati Gigi coming from Detroit.
What's going on?
I'm so glad that I finally got through to you. What's going on?
What's on your mind?
Okay. Well, I don't know. Michael Harriot dropped the ball. It's almost like the whole thing was staged. He had an opportunity to take Pete to task, and he totally just dropped it. And I don't know what kind of consequences that has going forward. Because he just said straight up that he doesn't have the answer, and there is no answer, and he don't know who does. Like, there's so many black scholars and all kinds of intellectuals. They have the answer. Why he didn't just refer him to somebody who's more knowledgeable? Like, sometimes you just got to pass the buck if you're not up to the task. You feel me?
Yeah, you got to pass the ball. You just got to be like, I don't know, but I know this guy who does. And he's doing a lot of good work. You should talk to him.
Yes, exactly. He could have did that.
Yeah.
Straight up. But I don't want to take up too much time. I know there's other people on the line. I just wanted to say hi to everybody in the chat. Follow us back. I'm so glad you and Tone finally, reached back at me. You can follow my husband too, A1 Thought 100. And and if you have any requests, we just had a meetup in Detroit. If you'd like more information, those that are listening, that's everybody in Southeast Michigan, all the way to Pontiac, Canton, everybody. Just email adosdetroit@gmail.com. All right?
Okay. I appreciate it, fam.
All right. Bye, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. You want to say anything, babe?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good, man. All right. Thank you, man. He's like, I'm good. I'm chill. I'm chilling over here. All right. Yeah, do that. Like, we have, it's funny. We have a lot of people who are emerging organically in their own communities as, people who are really providing leadership. And, whether you call somebody a leader or not, it doesn't really matter. People step forward. They provide that for their communities. We're not talking about Yvette and Tone. I'm talking about a lot of people that I see. I didn't organize the Supreme Court. Y'all did that. Shout out to the people. Ross DMV, Marshall, all them people. That's providing leadership. Leadership is not a bad thing. It's when it is Messiah leadership and it's encapsulated in one person or whatever that it becomes a problem. But when it's good to have leaders throughout the entire country. That means that you got a whole link and switch that junk up. You don't have to people are going to provide leadership. That's good when these people emerge and they say, hey, I'm starting this and I'm doing this. It's not about Tony and Yvette. That's about what all of y'all are doing. And then you're going to have a chance to sit back and somebody else is going to come up. And then y'all might trade. Somebody gets tired and then you take it over. And then you get older and then man, I'm so proud of everybody. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. I ain't finna get mushy. I'm going to 702. 702, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Charlie calling.
Hey, what's going on, Charlie?
Nothing much. Good Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you.
The writer that you mentioned, Michael Harriot, I think that just proves, it just shows how much work needs to be done in terms of getting people to understand exactly what's going on and what this is and the importance of the moment. Like you said, you can't really play games with things like this. Mm-hmm. If you get an opportunity to speak to someone who is in a position to make change, institutional change, because people say institutional racism all the time, and the fact of the matter is it's institutional, which means it can be changed institutionally. You can change policies, you can change laws, you can change procedures. These things can be changed. This is not something that's immutable. It's been changed before. Gay marriage 30 years ago was an impossibility. Absolutely. And now it's common practice. It's everything is what we got. So the ideal of us moving forward, the ideal of reparations, the ideal of us being treated as the American citizens that we are in full is no more impossible than wishing that we were not enslaved back during slavery. Absolutely. So that was a bigger ask than what we're asking for, to tell you the truth, because what we're asking for has been done before. It's nowhere near an impossibility to ask for reparations. It's nowhere near an impossibility to receive reparations when people have received them before. I know we throw this big number out there about trillions of dollars. the government spends trillions of dollars. That's not a real big number. We talk about it that way, but it really isn't, because we're not talking about a lump sum of money. We're not talking about policy that will happen instantaneously. We're talking about something that needs to be done over a period of time, and that's quite doable, and it's quite reasonable, and it's really. I mean, I think we really have to work to get people on board to understand that this is no more fantastic than building out the highway system or building the electrical infrastructure of the country. This is something that can be done. It can be done by government. It was done by government. We were enslaved by government. We were treated as a lower caste by government. These are all government policies and laws. They can be changed the other way. They have to be changed the other way, and it's not that hard to do it. It just takes the will to do it. And the thing is, we have to force the will of the government to do it. People, Jewish people, Asian people, now LGBT, everyone else has done this. Push the government to change policy. Push the government to change the law of the land. Push the government to change the way we live. We need to understand that we can do that. We need to understand that. I think that part of the problem is we don't accept it. We're still trapped in the ideal of like, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I've spoken about my grandmother. I've been on here with you before and spoken about my grandmother. And I was saying, I had a conversation with her about, asking for something, saying that I'm going to demand to be treated like an equal person. And she was saying, well, I don't know about that, because she came from the time of sharecropping. So she's like, I don't know. You need to go in there and you need to. And I said, no. You don't understand, Grandma. I'm going to ask. And she said, well, they're not going to give it to you. And I said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to ask. I'm going to demand it. If I don't get it, that's too bad. That's not my problem. I'm asking for what I deserve. If I bring $1 to the table, I expect to get $1 of service. Okay. I don't expect to get 50 cents of service because I'm black. I expect to get $1 of service. I don't expect to be treated any lesser than anyone else in this country. And we need to get there. And if we get there, we'll understand. We'll approach this the way that the Jewish community approached it. We'll approach it the way that the LGBT community approached it. We'll approach it the way that women have approached it. We'll approach the government as working for us to make our lives better because we've contributed to this. And we need to get those things in our head. We need to get the idea that we contributed, we built this, we contributed to this, and we are full citizens, more so than many, many other people in this country, and that we deserve the right for this to work for us. So I think when someone like that makes that kind of flippant, playful thing that he's doing, and we see a lot of that too. I'm seeing a lot of that on the internet too. A lot of this playfulness about, like, ooh, I'm getting them. I'm getting, like you said, I got him. I told him. No. This isn't about I told him, I got him. We're past that. That time to me is over with long ago. That's something that's 50 years ago. Okay, we're at the point now where we've talked to you. We have the statistics. You and Tone keep putting the data out there. I had the data back years ago when I was coming out of school, and I was telling people about those studies that they did with Harvard graduates, that first group of Harvard graduates they allowed in there, and how they came out and how they were doing drastically worse than their white cohort. And we've had these studies for years and years, law schools and all kinds of graduate schools and Ivy League colleges. We've had all these studies about how this didn't work. This whole idea did not work. The whole striverism thing did not work. And so we need to say, we need this corrected on this level. This is the only thing we have not tried. Reparations is the only thing that we have not put on the table. So we need to put this on the table. We need to make this work, because this is the thing that will work. It's like Lorraine Hansberry had in The Color Purple. I mean, not The Color, I'm sorry. In Raising in the Sun. In Raising in the Sun, that famous scene, I tell people all the time how the son is talking about the money that the father left, and the mother looks at him and she says, it was about money. When I was young, we wanted to be free. And the son looks back at her and he says, Mama, it was always about money. We just didn't know it. And it's like, I always quote people that line, because I said Lorraine Hansberry was a middle class or a person, because her family owned property and stuff. That's why she was able to be a writer like that. They owned like tenements, and they were actually slumlords, I think. But that's another story. But anyway, so she knew the the importance of money. She knew that that's what the core issue of this was. That's why they did not want that family moving into that neighborhood in the first place, because it's going to drop their property values.
Yep.
That's why the man in the play goes, well, I'm not really a racist. I really don't hate you because you're black, but you're going to tear my property values up. You're going to lower the value of my home. And, I mean, she put it in that play. People don't see it because they're too busy looking at everything else. But the fact of the matter is, it's always been about that. We were brought here because we were money in the first place, and they used us to make more money. So the solution to money has to be money. I mean, don't get me wrong. Part of it, of course, is the rest of it too. We do need institutional things in place. We need policies in place. But at the core, you need this money. I mean, like you brought up the part that Michael talked about when he said that the one kid he went to school with was mediocre, and yet he became a lawyer. I have the same stories. I went to school with a lot of mediocre white people who were doing. I work with mediocre white people who are doing much better than me, and I look at them all day long, and I'm like, what the heck? Oh, but then when you talk to them, you hear the story about they inherited this, or they're doing this, or they're going to summer in this house over here because they have this property. These are things, like you said, have been passed down generationally or familially, not family, but through association.
Yeah.
I may know someone who has money.
Social capital.
That's good enough. I have a friend that I met in college or wherever playing baseball in a baseball league, and he's got money. Then I have access to his money. I have access to his network of association. I have access to his information. A lot of his information. Money is key. Don't get me wrong. Money is key and important. But once you have money, information is just as important, because you need the information to know where to put money, how to move money, what to do with money. It's not just a matter of you having it.
Yes.
You need the entire infrastructure, which is why we need reparations, so that we can have the money, so that we can create the networks. I tell you, I'm not going to stay here too long, but I have one more thing to say.
You good. You fine. Keep talking.
But I have this one thing to say. And I don't want, like I said, I don't want to get into all that, but there are other people online. You know about them. I won't mention their names, but you know about the people who are strivers, and they talk about starting up black businesses, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. When I was young, I came up at the end of that. So we had the government programs again, that had created a lot of black businesses, helped create a lot of black businesses, really, out of that period of time. The blacks who were already middle class, who already had access, started a lot of black. I came from a place that had we had a black hospital. We had 2 black newspapers. We had a multitude of black restaurants and all kinds of. I mean, I can't. Oh yeah, a guy owned a local television station, black owned. All of that, and all of that was it. By the time I was, I don't know, let's say 15 years later. That was when I was young. So 15 years later, all that was gone. All of it was gone. So between them being destroyed externally or not being able to finance everything, not being able to get through the rough times, they were unable to sustain. Striverism will not work. If it takes $100 to get something going and I have 10, I cannot make up the difference. It is impossible for me to make up that difference without having resources at my disposal that I can put into it, and having not just resources, I need backing, because even if I have $100, let's say $100 as a metric, if I have $100 to start something and it gets going, what happens 2 years later when things get rough? I don't have the $100 anymore. I don't have a network of friends. I don't have a reserve to go to help me get through the rough patch. They do. I mean, I talked to one guy who had a local coffee shop. White guy had a local coffee shop. He said, "Oh, I'm self-made. I made it all by myself." And I said, I've never fallen for that, because I always ask people, "Well, how did you do it?" Because I want to do it too. Maybe I want to start a coffee shop. Maybe I want to do it. And they go, "Oh, I made it myself. I did everything myself." And then they start saying, "Well, this guy had a place and he let me use it for free for 12 months because he couldn't fill it. He owned the building. It didn't really cost him anything because it was already vacant. He said, I'll let you have it for 12 months for free, and you just come in there, and then if you get it going, you can start paying me." So he had free rent for a year. Then he was able to get equipment from a guy who had a coffee shop somewhere else. He was able to get broken equipment that he could repair because he had a friend who knew how to repair it. He had all these things that were in place for him to get this shop up and going. See, that kind of resources don't exist. I mean, I come from working class people.
Me too.
I'm just going to be honest. I don't come from the poorest of the poor amongst us. But they are in my family, so I know what that is.
Every black family,
I know exactly what that is. So, you know, and I visited them, and my father and I used to take care packages to them. Some of his siblings, some of my cousins. So I know. But I know that even in my world, where I was doing okay, supposedly, when I went over to see my white cohort, they were doing much better than me. And they had those kinds of opportunities. You had people going off to Europe. And these are not rich kids. That's the thing. These are not rich kids. These are working class kids who have, who, like you said, have inherited resources, have made friends with people who have resources, have made those connections that have allowed them to move through this world and to, and like he said, move up in this world. You can start out as somebody who, maybe your parents were working class at the factory with me, with my father, and then suddenly his son becomes a lawyer or a congressman, and you say, well, how did that happen? And it's because of the connection. Well, he knew this guy, and he was able to get this job, and he had this connection and that connection. And it's just a ladder of achievement that you can climb, whereas I had no ladder of achievement. I had no ladder of achievement. I had no rope. I had nothing. As my friend used to say, they throw a rope down, you had to jump up 6 feet to grab the rope and hope that you can pull your weight up with your one arm and maybe get on the other, pull another arm on the other side of the rope, and hopefully you don't slip. Because if you slip, you're going to break your leg. So it's something that you, and I'm talking too much, but I know, but it's this, we need to get people to accept, and I hate to say it, but because I had these conversations with my uncle and my grandmother back when I was a kid. We need black people. The only one that understood it seemed to be my great aunt. She was a beautiful woman. She really was. I love that woman to the day I die because she understood this. She was incredibly wise, and she understood that the thing is you have to keep yourself centered. This is a woman who grew up on the sharecropping. You know, it sounded like slavery to me. It was what she was talking about because it was like slavery. Yeah. But she grew up in that environment, and she understood that you had to keep yourself. She always said you had to keep yourself centered. No matter what they do to you, you have to keep yourself centered and understand who you are and what you are. And she would always say that to me. And when I was young, I really didn't quite understand where she was coming from. But as I got older, I understood because she had seen most of the black men in her life destroyed through this thing. And she said, you know, you have to keep yourself centered. You have to keep yourself on that, like you said, on your square. You have to keep yourself squared up. You have to keep yourself centered. You have to know who you are. And so many of us, I'm saying all this to get back to the Michael guy. He doesn't know who he is. I mean, he's an intelligent guy. I can tell by what he was writing. He's an intelligent guy, but he has gotten lost and gotten off point and off center and not understanding that we need to, it's not enough to play with them. It's not enough to be a thorn in the side. It's not enough to make a good point. It's not enough to talk about these things that way. You have to make the demand. You have to make the demand of not just of them, of us, of our fellow ADOS. We have to make the demand of them to come up. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like Malcolm said. He said, you know, one of the problems they had was that the people weren't ready. You know, they weren't ready. And it's like we have to get the people ready. They have to understand that this is something that they deserve. That's the part that we really got to get to. We deserve this. This has been worked for. Like I told you before when I called you, there's blood in my family. People have fought in wars. People have sacrificed. People have done things for this country. And they've all loved this country, by the way. They've all expressed their love of this country. So when people tell you that thing about the Pan-Africanism and all that, like I said, that's a goal for 2,000 years from now. Right now, we need to be full American citizens. 2,000 years from now, whenever we can talk about a unified Africa, I'm all for that. 2,000, we wait until whatever. This is over with, and we have our reparations, and we are full citizens of this country at the level that we should be. We can start talking about reaching out to be Pan-Africanists then. You know, once the Haitians get their thing together in Haiti, the Congolese get their thing together in Congo, and these Nigerians go back to Nigeria and get Nigeria together and get those colonizers out of there, then we can all talk about how we can all come together in some kind of, you know, kumbaya, whatever. We're going to be Pan-Africanists. We're going to be together on the planet. But that's not what we're talking about now. What we're talking about now is I'm here in Nevada, and I have a job where I drive around. And I was almost in tears last week because there was rain here. We don't get rain here a lot, and when we get rain, the homeless, they go underneath the bridges. And I'm driving down there, and I'm seeing it looked like a stadium underneath the bridge, and the majority of those people were black men. And it really tears me up when I see that, because it's increased here dramatically over the last few years. And you see these black men on the street, literally on the street, wearing blankets and just living out there on the streets. And this thing is all around the country, by the way. You know that, like I do. Yeah. It's all around the country, and I see black men out here living in these conditions that, you know, we would always say third world conditions, but we have third world right here. Yep. I can take you to third world conditions right here in every major city in this country, and it's predominantly us, or it's disproportionately us. Let me say that it's disproportionately us, and it shouldn't be any of us. We should be just as invisible as Asians there. We shouldn't be there at all, because we've been here too long. We should have accumulated way too much by this time, and so to see that, it just hurts me, and to know that, you know, like I said, that's why I call myself Charlie, because I don't go into that. But my sister's struggling now. She's back. Both my sisters are struggling, but the one is really struggling. She's back with her father, my father right now, our father, and it makes no sense for her to be living back with him. You know, she's worked her whole life, but yet still she ends up back there because her husband, he basically lost his mind. Is what you and Tone were talking about. He tried to Uber himself out of poverty, and that won't work. You can't Uber yourself out of poverty. You can't Uber yourself to take care of your family. And it basically destroyed. I've seen so many black men, good black men, destroyed by the inability to take care of their families. It eats the manhood of them up when they can't do that, because that's a man's position, a man's point to take care of his family. And if they feel like they can't do it because they have to work these menial jobs where they're being exploited and they cannot move forward, I've seen them all destroyed. I've seen this story over and over again. I have a brother-in-law same way. He had a nervous breakdown. He went back to his family's home. He was in the room for a year. Didn't even talk to anybody, because he had been working at the bank, and he was a victim of the downsizing they did when they combined banks. So he was in a white collar position. Mm-hmm. He thought he had made it. That's why he was destroyed so much, because it was beyond him to be torn down like that. And my other brother-in-law, as I said, he tried to do the Uber, and I told him, I said, that's not going to work. You're not going to have enough money to do it that way. You need to do something else. I don't know what, but I didn't even have any. See, once again, I have nothing to give him. Yep. I sent care packages to them, but I have nothing. I have no way to help him. I have no arm to give him. I have nothing, because I'm working. I have nothing, and it's ridiculous, because I know, like, you and Tone talk about it. You talk about how people are cut off, but I am lucky enough to at least I know my grandparents. I met my great-grandmother. I actually met her when I was a very young child. She was barely there. She was in dementia and all that, but I met her. I saw her, and so I have this connection to the lineage, and so I know that those people exist. Those are real people to me. We're real faces, and I saw where they lived, and I saw how they lived, and I had the stories from some of them of what went down. And so to hear that, and then I don't get angry anymore because I'm too old for that. But the anger it's a cold anger now when I hear these people talk about us. When I hear people like Buttigieg and I hear people like Biden and the rest of them talk about us, and Kamala, I hear them talk about us because she's not, but I hear them talk about us. I have a cold anger towards that because I understand exactly. It's not a book for me. Don't get me wrong. The books are great, and we need to read those books because you get the rest of the full experience. But to me, these are real people. Yeah. These are people who existed. Like I said, my great aunt, she existed in that sharecropping environment. My grandmother existed. They were sharecroppers. These are sharecroppers.
My mother existed in the environment too. Yeah.
Yeah. And these people existed. These are real people. I've been down to that land. I've seen the land that they toiled on. And so for people to sit here and tell me these stories, and for me to hear striverism stuff, when I know the people, I know the strivers. I saw the strivers get destroyed. I saw the strivers be put up. I saw fake strivers too. I saw people put them up as these, like you said, that veil. That's not new. That decadent veil is not a new thing. That decadent veil has existed for at least 2 generations now or more, where they put those people up there and they say, well, be like him, be like her. And they have this false front up here where they want you to do these things and to say, well, it's okay. You people are okay. You have enough. the ideal of we've given you enough. And when you put those statistics up there and you show those numbers of we have enough, it brings a cold anger to me, because I already know I don't. But when I see the numbers, just like when I was in school and I was looking in there was a magazine there, because I have a STEM degree, and there was a magazine with STEM degrees in it, and it was Chem and Engineering News, and they would do surveys. Now, these are chemical engineers, so these are nerd, geek people. They're all about the numbers. This magazine would be double sized. Their employment issue would be double sized. And you go reading through it, and you would see how they would break it down. They would break it down by age, by race, by geography, and you look at it and you go, wait a minute, I'm making 30% less than I should be making. By their statistics. And so I knew then, I was like, wait a minute, what is this crap? And I showed it to my friend. They look at me like, well, you're thinking negatively. And I'm like, I'm not thinking at all. Like I used to tell people now, I say, I don't have opinions or thoughts. I have these numbers here. This is what I'm looking at. Show me some other numbers, and then we can talk about something. If you have other numbers, statistics, ideas, thoughts, whatever, show them to me, and we can have a discussion about this. But I want to know how to get out of it. And I'm saying that the push for reparations is the only thing I see, because, like I said, we've tried all these other things. We tried assimilation. We tried policy. We tried everything. We tried all these policies. We tried busing and desegregation and assimilation. We tried all this stuff.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you're in a country that believes in money. So the solution is money. It's got to be that. I mean, it's so obvious that it's a no-brainer. I think that's one reason why you see so many of the politicians running away from it.
Yeah.
Because they know. They're like, yeah, that's what they need. They need money. They need money is what they need, because we've been taking it from them for generations now. We've been keeping them from it. You've been not giving them access to it for generations. So of course they need money. Of course they do. And of course that's the solution. And worse, they have the money. We have the money to fix this.
Yeah.
We don't want to. They don't want to. It's just, you have to push that. I don't care what you want. This is what needs to be done. And unless you can give me an argument about how you're going to bring down space aliens or something to fix it, I don't want to hear anything else. You got to tell me something. You got to give me something in terms of a logical solution. Don't tell me about empower. What was that? Opportunity zones? Opportunity zones. When you said that thing about opportunity zones, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, that's something that I was a child hearing about opportunity zones. I think the last time I remember opportunity zones was Jack Kemp, and they were stealing property back in Ohio through eminent domain with opportunity zones. So it's like, that's some ridiculous old thing. I mean, these guys are so. It's like. A guy I knew named Walter Gant used to always talk about, an old guy named Walter Gant used to always talk about how, he said, he would look at me and go, they're not very original. And I said, yeah, you're right, because they pull the same stuff out over and over again. This is an old scam. Every time they come up with these old scams, opportunity zones or whatever the heck it is, we're going to have people go into the community and be role models. I mean, like Obama's Good Guys Club. I don't know what the name of that thing is, but I call it the Good Guys Club. That thing he did at the last bit of the last
my
year he was in there.
You talking about my brother's keeper?
We're going to do this little community Good Guys Club or whatever that thing was. And I'm like, yo, you kidding me? You've been in office for 8 years, and the best you got for me is the Good Guys Club? Are you kidding me? You're the president of the United States, and you started a club for little kids. This was your idea of how to help the black community.
You're right,
you gotta be kidding me with this crap.
You're right, Sam. You're right, Sam.
You know what? I'm gonna let you go.
All right.
I'm gonna let you enjoy.
No, you're right. You're right. That's what, and
I
appreciate you calling in, fam. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
You have a good Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much of that turkey.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
I bought a little vegan turkey too, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. But but I appreciate it, fam. I mean, you called in, and I appreciate this. I mean, there's a lot of stories. Like what you were basically giving us is all the stories that lead up to reparations, like that lead up to no, STEM ain't gonna work. No, I've been through this before. No, I was here. This don't work. And I think all the people under the bridge is black. They black men. That's what it is. We been displaced. Yeah, that's what it is. And I think we have to get to that place. We understand that, and we understand that collective uplift is the answer. There's no individual answer. We have to do this together. So I'm going to 617. 617, what's going on?
Hey, Yvette, it's Reggie. What's happening?
Not too much, Reggie. What's going on?
I'm doing good, man. I'm ready for Thanksgiving and food and the libations. But, I think in the context of this conversation, it's important to remember exactly who is over there at the root.
Okay.
You know, I know you said you were going to be, you know, measured. I don't feel like I can be that with this guy, because like over at the root, you remember, very smart brothers is part of their platform.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Straight black men, the white people, the black people. That's what they doing over there.
Yeah.
Then they got the Grapevine over there. Jason Johnson is a contributor over there. Like, and when you look at the writing, like, you understand, like, these are very childish and unserious people. Like, when you're saying, I'm going to be a thorn in their side, and I'm just going to F with white people, and the writing just, not just in this piece, but just with so many of their pieces, the writing is just so juvenile. It's like they're in high school.
Yeah.
And like, sassy is the perfect word. Like, sassy and no substance, and definitely sassy with no spine. And they're absolutely horrible at research, you know, as evidenced by, you know, the tweet you put up when, you know, you said y'all find out about Byron Allen, you know, yesterday. And it also reminded me of something he did recently, because I don't know if you remember, there was a tweet that I put up about someone playing with a picture of some black women marching, and they photoshopped trying to say African Americans for Warren. And so, you know, the tweet got a little traction, but then here comes Michael Harriot under there. He's like, oh, you know that was a joke, right? You know, just all kiki-keying under the joint. But, like, what he didn't understand is if he had researched, like he didn't research, you know, with Tony and Byron Allen, he would have found out that we were having that discussion because that picture, even though it was doctored, even though it was a joke, it was deployed by a bot for Elizabeth Warren. And so we just got to tell him, just like you and Antonio tell folks, you don't know enough to talk to me. Like, that whole squad over there is just, as journalists, they're weak. It's just a bunch of grifters and cowards.
And they don't know enough to talk to Buttigieg. They don't know enough to talk to him either.
Exactly. I mean, and you can tell he was a coward just by just the title. Like, if you're gonna say all of that, and you're gonna say you're a lion MF, say it with your chest. Go on and spell it out. Like, if you're bad, then just spell it out. And then he said, like, you know, you know, the wounds are so deep and it's been going on for so long that I can't fix this. Like, do you know that there's one group in this country where we never say that about, and that as a country we have done so much damage to from the inception of this country, and that's the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Like, with the genocide and the taking of the land, but still, here we come back every single election cycle with a plan for them. We revisit it. Where are they at? What do they need? Kamala Harris wants to give them, you know, 500,000 acres of land. They always come up with a plan. The answer is never, I can't fix this shit. But here you have Michael Harriot talking. Like, this guy has to get out the way. I mean, and in terms of the, you know, when he was talking about the Douglas plan was a supplemental plan, again, if Michael knew enough, or if he was to get to somebody who knows enough, he could have just answered, like, look, how about you give us your reparations plan and then let H.R. 40 be the supplement to that? Because what they're doing is hiding behind H.R. 40. Like, well, I'm just deferring to Sheila Jackson Lee. You know, they're hiding behind the whole, I'm just going to listen to black women. Like, no, give me your reparations plan, and then let the commission out of H.R. 40 tell us what you missed. These guys are cowards, and if Michael knew enough, he would have called it out. And the biggest problem is that, you know, in terms of Harriot and the Root and these blue checks, is that, you know, Mayor Pete and the Democrats, they love to seize the opportunity to run to folks like Michael Harriot, but do you know who they run from?
Who?
They run from Jamie and Fowler.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They sprint.
And the caller before, they don't want Charlie on the phone. That was going to be a different conversation. it just lets you know that we're not the same. And just like Cornel West said, at the conference, if you are scared, just go in and get out the way. Like,
absolutely.
It was such a wasted opportunity. It's like, I don't think he understands just how much of a failure he is, not just as a journalist, just as a black man. Like,
you hard, Reggie. You hard on it. Jeez.
Yeah, this is cowardice. I could pull any other, working class black person off the street. Someone who might not even be ADOS, who's going to have more spine and more specificity and actually have a demand. Like, these guys are useless, and we really understand, why they're there. But that's pretty much,
but let me just ask you one question, Reggie. What did you make when I read what he wrote, what Michael Harriot wrote? And then I went online to see what the reaction was on Twitter and elsewhere, right? And in the comments of the root. And one of the most interesting things for me is that everybody was very celebratory. Like, what do you make of the celebration? Like, the celebration, nobody responded like we are responding. Like, you went harder than me, but nobody kind of responded that way. Why?
It's a reflection of our collective political immaturity. We're in high school just like Michael Harriot is. We're on Twitter and we're being sassy and we're getting these jokes off and we dragging people, but nobody's making demands except ADOS. And that's just how it was reflected in the space. Like, all of these retweets and like, child, and they all on MSNBC talking and they still trying to Negro whisper, and they don't know what's going on with the Negroes. Like, everybody looks crazy. It's a reflection of that collective immaturity. But I had just one more point, in terms of a Toon video. Shout out to him. That video was powerful. But there's one other thing, shout out to his kitten that we saw around the 5-minute mark. So Tony, if you're listening, go on and call in, tell us the kitten's name, or put it on Twitter or whatever it was. But that's all I got. Y'all enjoy your Thanksgiving.
All right, Reg. I appreciate you. What's that little Negro's name? God, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going. I'm going to my next call. I'm going to who am I going to? I'm going to 757. 757. What's your name? Where you coming from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. This is Sloan speaking. I just want to change it up a bit. I understand. Michael Harriot is too low-hanging fruit for me, so I just leave those folks alone. I just want to. I'm actually drinking a nice Shiraz here.
Oh, good for you.
Pre-Thanksgiving Shiraz, whatever you want to say. But I want to just say, because I have to go back to Africa. I'm leaving on Saturday. Go back to Africa. I'll be back in like 6 months. Okay. But here's the thing. I want to just say, I'm just grateful to be able to find the ADOS movement, go to the conference, and I'm just grateful for a bunch of things, and so that's all I want to say. I just want to make it short and brief, and I think that in a few months, right after the initial primaries, we'll see the effect of ADOS. I really do believe that, and I'm not a Twitter person. I don't do Twitter or anything like that. But y'all have fun with that if you wish. But sometimes I listen to folks just for the entertainment purposes only. But I just want to say that I'm just grateful for everything that I've experienced this year. This last 6 months I've been in the States. I got to go back. I'll be back, and ADOS will be at another level at that particular point. And again, shout out to the ADOS family in New York. All right, thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you, fam. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. We're gonna start, fam. We're gonna have to start. When people start saying nothing and they got blue checks or whatever, I don't even know if does Harry have a blue check? I didn't even check. But like, if they do have blue checks, we just gonna have to start putting in there, like, yeah, he does have one. Like, we're gonna have to start putting in there we're gonna start using hashtag. When they be talking, they don't be saying nothing. Hashtag sassy blue check. We just have to, so we'll know. We can check the hashtag and see which sassy blue check. That's gonna be our new hashtag, sassy blue check talking for no reason. I'm going to the next caller. I am going to 678. 678. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Sean in Atlanta.
Hey,
Shout
Sean.
out to my ADOS Atlanta crew and all my ADOS family.
You coming to the holiday party?
Oh, yeah, that's
Okay.
right. I got to find out. I know we have something on December 8th at the paint and
You ain't gotta say where it's at. You ain't gotta say
But-
all that. Just I just asked you if you was coming.
Oh, okay. But I'm going to get the information. But
Okay.
shout out to you all. Oh, my gosh. This week has just been amazing. Can I just start with Monday with the young lady who said, what next if we don't? And then to Miss Sassy Bree, who just tried to just throw water all over this whole movement. And then Judge Joe Brown with it will be nice. And I'm like, if your life depended on something, would you be talking about it would be nice? That just goes to show you when these people are comfortable, they can say things like this. And so it's just been bothering me that they can. Let me just say this point about political imagination, which so many of us don't have. And we really do have a lot of work to do. But if we could just get some imagination, if I could just say what I do, when I go to the bank, and I mean, this is not being funny, I already see my $1 million there. It's just missing 6 zeros. And so, I already have this imagination that is there. But can I just say one other thing about our current President Trump? Currently, President Trump has issued $28 billion to the farmers because they can't sell their crops to China. So when I hear all these people saying, well, no, it's not possible, I'm like, I don't know if he's getting this authorization from Congress or whatever, but he's doling out this money. They giving it out. We're just not getting it. And so I just ask, where's our imagination? Where is this, it's almost as if so many people are just like, well, it's just not going to happen. Well, we've seen President Obama become president. We've seen so many possible things become possible. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. You have to, but that's why I always talk about political imagination. Like, people don't have any political imagination. There's so many things that happen from slavery to now, and not just in terms of us as a group, all kinds of other people. Like, how do you not think? How do you get to tell us? How do you get to rein in what is possible? So I think you're right about that.
Yeah, if we could just get everybody to just think that it's already been authorized, it's coming to your account, and you spread that news to everybody else to give them some kind of momentum. So there's we got to get some momentum here, some energy. We have it going, but we need more of it because everybody, and especially when you look at the situation with so many of us driving for Lyft and Uber, if nothing else, we need to get this kind of momentum going that we already got this money. It's there. It just hasn't arrived yet. And
well, yes, and even but like, it has to be here. Like, it has to come. There is no, like, if it doesn't come, everybody just drives Uber and everybody just fails. Like, understand what it means. When you heard Diddy and when you hear Byron talk and when you heard the other person talk about them, you understand what they're doing, how they're operating. Like, people say, well, what happens if it don't happen? Well, die. I don't know. What do you mean? What if it can't?
That's not even in the vocabulary. What if it doesn't happen? Well, they're not going to do it. No, they're going to do it because it has to happen. It's your survival. It has to happen. Please understand that.
You're right, fam. You're right. You're right. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that, fam, just so I can get some more people in. But I appreciate it. But yeah, it has to happen, and it's everything that comes with the monies. It's a whole framework that comes with the monies. It's not just the monies, and it's just like, oh, let's give it all back to white capital now. Let's give it out. No, you have to. This has to be a whole drawn out process. and we've talked a lot about it. I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But I'm going to 917. What's going on?
Yvette to the corner was good.
What's good, fam? How you doing?
This is at Black Detta on Twitter. Calling out of Brooklyn, New York. ADOS stand up. Real quick, I want to talk to the Michael Harriot dude, and him to even open up the article, talking that ridiculousness about I'd rather fight than write, knowing that he ain't ever bust a grape in a fruit fight. Man, like people like this, like growing up in New York, you kind of get a chance to see them and be around them, especially for me personally, because I went to a lot of specialized high schools in New York. And so when you're in these schools and you get a chance to see these people, it's that same dude that, I mean, the same way that what's the chick's name? Oh my goodness, I'm getting a blank. She did Insecure. What's the girl's name? Help me out, chat. And I know you.
Oh, you mean Issa Rae? You talking about her?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Issa Rae. Well, what I kind of seen in New York growing up and going to these specialized schools and stuff is that you got the Issa Raes, you got the Michael Harriets, you got the Talib Kweli's, you got a lot of the blue checks, even the Bree Newsom. This whole idea of the whole awkward black person. In a lot of cases, what makes them awkward is, one, they're not ADOS, or they didn't live a traditional ADOS life. And so, that's why they love talking that whole business about, black people are not a monolith. The only reason why we're not a monolith is because a lot of the black voices that have been elevated represent the outliers of the traditional ADOS existence in America. That make sense?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
And so they've created this niche and this space for themselves with this awkwardness, which really means non-ADOS life. They promote that, and what happens is they become the safe blacks in society, so to speak. And I see a lot of my classmates do that. And so what they've done is, and why they become elevated, is because they become that safe black person. And by safe black person in America, what I mean is they'll have that little space where they do this little cornball stuff like Michael Harriot is doing, where I can joke around, I can kind of press you like, I'm talking out against racism and white supremacy, but it's really more tongue-in-cheek. Yeah. It's really toothless. And then what I'll do is when I'm around black people, I'll talk real tough as if I'm trying to do all that like Bree was doing this week.
Oh, wow.
And then when I get pressed by white people, then it's time to say, I'm really just playing. I don't really got none of the answers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know. White supremacy is a bad thing, but what we going to really do about it? Not much. I don't know what to do. And so it becomes this real, this corny stuff that really infuriates you if you let it get you. But once you understand who they are, and like you said, once we start seeing it, once we start hearing it, it's time to hashtag Sassy Blue Check. Because we know where it's going, we know what it is, and we know we got to do the work regardless. So we know what they're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree, fam.
And thanks. Lastly, I just want to close with this. I know a lot of people, especially in the chat. The chat is ruthless. They've been talking about no devil's advocate anymore. We don't need no more devil's advocate calling up. And so what I want to close with is, listen, if you really hell bent, no pun intended, on playing devil's advocate, how about you just, instead of playing devil's advocate, just work on being an ADOS advocate and bring the hell to get these reparations done if you really want to be all up in the devil's playground. Bring the hell as an ADOS advocate and let's get this work done.
All right, fam. Let's get this work done. You heard the man. Let's get this work done. Thank you, caller. I appreciate it as always. Going to my last caller. Let me see who I am going to. I don't want nobody off or nothing like that, but hell. 405, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yo, hey, Yvette, this is Sam and out of Dallas, Oklahoma. I'm always all around, actually.
What's going on with you?
Hey, man, I'm not going to take too much of your time. One, I want to I appreciate all the work you put in on this. I was a Tyreek fan. He's the first person that got me known about ADOS, but once I kind of got wind of you and this whole battle between, what's been going on lately, I say it's really a breath of fresh air to kind of watch all your videos and you and Tom. So
appreciate it.
Definitely. You won that battle with me. But what I wanted to talk about was one real quick. I will say that the wealth gap thing that you spoke on earlier, they can no longer say that it's families or broken families, bad education, or anything else that's causing the wealth gap. You know what I'm saying? Issue that's happening. When you look at it, it's going to take about at least 4 people to be in a working household of a black family just to make the same amount of money on any one of those levels for us to even be on a similar plane. So you're talking about 4 people in the household working. That's not normally happening. Or 2 people with 2 jobs, which that does happen often. So that's definitely something that's crazy. The next thing I wanted to talk about was. All these politicians, they talked about how they was acting tough and stuff. One, I think that we definitely need to stay on this whole thing of reparations for checks. Everybody out here you got people out here, that's on Atlantic TV and stuff like that, and they're fighting for reparations, so to speak. But then they bring up certain topics that are kind of like playing on the stereotypes as far as whenever they say, what are you going to do? What do you think all these people are going to do when they get a check? They always say, oh, this is going to blow it. They're going to get chains. They're going to get Bentleys. I don't see that many black people around here rolling around with chains and Bentleys. That is a stereotype that has been perpetuated from rappers and what they see in this media, and everybody keeps saying it to make it seem like
let me say one other thing, fam. And I was talking about this today. Part of the problem too is that we don't have social capital, we don't have connections. So if you get a bit of money and you can't find a way to put it, what ends up happening is you squander the money. We see that a lot with rappers and athletes because they're trying to find a way to put it and do stuff, but it don't work. You try to start a restaurant and it flop. So you end up just spending it on consumer goods. That's why we need to have some type of protection and ownership in terms of land and redistribution in terms of what was stolen from us. A lot of companies shouldn't exist and wouldn't exist without us, universities, all kind of stuff. So you have to, you have to replace that, or you just have money and nowhere to put it. You have nowhere to really navigate with that money because you don't have any social capital. You don't have any connections. You don't have any generational relationships. It's a lot that we're going to have to deal with in terms of building out a reparations outlay. But that's all part of it. But I'll let you finish up, fam.
No, I believe you. I believe that wholeheartedly. Everything you just said, I agree with, because most of these people, I used to think the same thing about people like Diddy and Jay-Z and some of them. And, I don't know what's going on with Jay-Z, but with Diddy, he's come to turn a whole new leaf over the time. And that could be because of his experience and his knowledge that has grown over time, whereas before everybody was probably putting crystal in the space, So I believe that wholeheartedly, the education and all those things that you said will actually propel us forward. And the last thing I would say is, like I said, we should never stop fighting for those checks. But I think we should also plan, just in case for some reason they were to give a ton of money to the HBCUs. I don't think that that's a horrible idea. I think we should still fight for checks even after that. I think we should never, ever stop fighting for checks.
Yeah,
but
never.
It
has to be wealth. Yeah, you have to close the racial wealth gap. You have to do it. And that requires redistribution. And that redistribution, a check is a part of it. It's not nearly all of it, though. There has to be so much to complement that. It's not just a redistribution only. There has to be a whole program around that. And I think that lasts a long time in terms of what has to be done. There's so much that goes with that. But I think you're right, fam, about that.
Yeah, definitely. And the last thing I'd say is that if they do give the money to the HBCUs, I think that at that point we should be pressuring the HBCUs to run any curriculum that we want that's going to foster the programs that we need to help, that we think are going to help close the the wealth gap, for the youth coming up going forward. If education is, because education is definitely going to need to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
we need to make more entrepreneurs and more things. Yeah, instead of just the same thing.
I agree. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate it. And I agree.
Problem.
Yeah, people don't understand. People think when we talk about that, we're just talking about the Treasury just cut a check and that's it. No. We have whole policy prescriptions and protections and allotments and expanding knowledge bases. There's a whole lot that goes with that. You can't just, because you just can't cut the check because then you're just squandering the check. You know, we have to have ownership and distribution and knowledge and a whole lot of stuff has to happen. So I think I'm going to cut it right now, fam. We are at that time. We are close to 2 hours. I am going to end it right here, fam. So listen. Don't forget, fam, to hit the like button. Don't forget, if you want to, as we get out of here, if you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/ycarnell. Go to subscribe to Brown, subscribe to brown.com. And add your name to the mailing list so I have your email address. Hit that like button if you're still here. Hit the bell. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe while you're here. Cost you no monies. No monies at all. Should be pretty soon hoodies coming out, and a couple of long sleeves. It's some of you have requested that because it's cool. It's chilly. It's too chilly for your short sleeve shirts. Chilly Willy. How many people remember Chilly Willy? Anyway, for the book club, January the 30th, which is the last Thursday in January. You have plenty of time. They Were Her Property. That will be our book read. If you were not here at the start of the show, white women as slave owners in the American South. Please pick up the book. Again, that will be January the 30th that we will have a book club. And we will have the conversation. I would love to have everyone be a part of the conversation. So please show up for that. It would mean a lot to me. Other than that, fam, please enjoy your Thanksgiving. If you celebrate, if you're not celebrating it, have a day of self-care and relax yourself, and don't let nobody bother you, and you don't bother nobody. And so do that, fam. Enjoy yourself. We're going to end the show right there, fam. And I'll see you next time.